Robin and Ramona Roberts' worst time ever. In the leafy lanes of Petswood, where the sunbeams love to dance, two sisters lived a life of grace by destiny and chance. At 78 Sutherland, their 4-bedroom domain, Joy sat at the console, and she didn't want a grain of sadness or of anger to disrupt the happy flow. "Stay back," she laughed to fear. "We have memories to grow." Robin, 10 and graceful, spun in slippers bright and pink, while Ramona, 8 and bold, didn't even stop to blink. Inside the girls' shared headspace, where the glowing orbs were stored, Joy was feeling quite ecstatic, never feeling bored. "Look at this," Joy shouted as a golden bead rolled by, capturing a summer's day beneath a Bromley sky. But fear was checking gauges, wearing goggles on his nose. "A bee!" he shrieked in terror, near Ramona's little toes. "Relax," said Joy. "It's lovely. See the garden's grand design? At Sutherland Avenue, the world is feeling fine." Their father, Alex, tall and blonde, with glasses black and sleek, would take them on a cycling trip at least once every week. Towards the Walnuts Leisure Center, they would pedal with a cheer. The girls were quite exuberant whenever he was near. "Faster, Daddy, faster!" Ramona's blue bike led the way. The scenery was panoramic on a perfect Saturday. Joy, another golden memory. "This one's a proper treat," as they whizzed past Orpington and down the busy street. Their mother, Heather, was a rose, with hair of golden thread. She'd take them to the ice rink where the Ruxley lights were spread. "You're gliding like a swan," she'd say to Robin with a grin, while Ramona practiced slap shots, hoping for a win. In Priory Garden's quiet paths, they'd watch the ripples play beneath the weeping willows on a shimmering summer day. "Sadness, it's so beautiful, it almost makes me cry." Joy, "Not today, dear sadness. We have ice to go and buy." But shadows started stretching, like a cold and creeping hand, a pathetic fallacy of storms across the happy land. Heather's health grew fragile, like a petal in the frost, and fear began to whisper of the things that might be lost. In Princess Royal Hospital, the air was clinical and white, as Heather closed her eyes and drifted into endless night. "I can't hold back the tears," sobbed Sadness, reaching for the wheel. "The girls need me to help them show exactly how they feel." The house at Sutherland Avenue felt hollow, hushed, and still. The silence was a heavy weight, a bitter, biting pill. Joy sat in the corner while Sadness took the lead, turning every memory blue, a melancholy deed. "Everything is abysmal," Sadness sighed with heavy breath. "The world has lost its color since our mother's sudden death." Disgust, "I hate this feeling. It's like eating soggy bread," while anger felt a fire start to burn inside his head. Then Alex met Jumana, who was 50, posh and cold, an Emirati woman with a heart of tattered gold. She drove a gray BMW, an X7, sleek and grim, and soon she had her icy hooks deep inside of him. "This house is far too cramped," she sneered, with arrogance so grand. "We're moving to Peterborough. I've already got it planned." Alex looked precarious, his spirit worn and thin, while joy and fear were panicking at the trouble they were in. Along came Jumana's daughter, who was 13 years of age. Beauty was a tyrant, full of vanity and rage. She wore neutral colors and a sneer upon her face, treating Robin and Ramona like a total grand disgrace. "I get the biggest bedroom," Beauty shouted with a glare. "And you two little pests can have the cupboard under the stair." Anger, "Who does she think she is? I'm going to lose my mind." Disgust, "She smells of expensive perfume and a heart that's quite unkind." The move was an atrocious mess, a calculated scheme. The removal van got lost, or so it would certainly seem. "My ballet shoes, my hockey stick," Ramona started to wail, as their precious London life began to flicker and to fail. The girls were squeezed in back, between the boxes and the bags, while Jumana's posh demeanor never wavered, never sags. Joy. Maybe it's an adventure? A new place to explore? Fear. Or maybe we're all headed for a closed and locked up door. 16 Agatha Place was a terraced house of gloom, with dust like grayish velvet in every single room. In the corner lay a guinea pig, quite motionless and dead, a sight that filled the sisters' hearts with heavy, sinking dread. "It's filthy!" cried Ramona as she poked the peeling wall. "There's no space for my hockey kit. There's no space here at all." Alex tried to clean the soot, but his hands were shaking fast, knowing that the happy times were buried in the past. Inside the sisters' mind palace, the lights were flicking red. Anger and disgust were taking over both their heads. "This house is an exacerbation of our misery," Anger cried. "I want to punch the walls. I want to run away and hide." Disgust. "Did you see that guinea pig? It's truly, purely vile. I haven't seen a reason to give anyone a smile." Fear. "The floorboards are all creaking. There are ghosts inside the vents." The mental state of both the girls was getting quite intense. The torment then began in earnest, cruel and quite abysmal. The weather in Peterborough was perpetually dismal. Jumana made them pancakes filled with hoops of soggy wheat. "Eat up," she barked. "It's all you'll get, a lovely morning treat." Beauty sat and watched them, while she ate a golden pear, incensing both the sisters with her cold and haughty stare. "You missed a spot upon the floor," she'd giggle with delight, as the girls were forced to scrub and clean from morning until night. "Go faster," Beauty ordered as she kicked a bucket o'er, spilling soapy water all across the kitchen floor. Ramona's blue-clad shoulders shook with fury and with pain. She felt like a poor prisoner, bound by a heavy chain. "I'm not your slave," she shouted, but her voice was small and thin, while Beauty just responded with a wide and wicked grin. Anger. "Let me at the console. I'll show her what is what." But Joy was weeping softly in a dark and lonely spot. At Southfield's primary, the lessons were a blur. Robin missed her London friends and the way things used to be. Mr. Courtney saw her weeping at her tiny wooden desk. Her situation seemed to him quite cruel and grotesque. "What's wrong, my dear?" he whispered with a kind and gentle hand. But Robin couldn't find the words to make him understand. Sadness. Tell him about the pancakes. Tell him about the chores. But fear was terrified of what might happen behind doors. Mrs. Davis found Ramona hiding in the hockey shed, with thoughts of gray BMWs spinning in her head. "You used to be so bubbly, now you're quiet as a mouse," the teacher said, concerned about the girl's unhappy house. "It's Jumana," whispered Ramona, "and her daughter Beauty too. They make us do the laundry, and they make us boil the stew." "I'll keep an eye," the teacher said, "and try to help you through." While disgust said, "About time. Someone finally has a clue." One evening at McDonald's, the food was gray and raw, the worst abysmal nuggets that the sisters ever saw. "It's pink inside," Robin cried, her voice a tiny squeak. But Jumana's face grew thunderous, her anger at its peak. "Stop your whining instantly. You're ungrateful and you're spoiled." While deep inside the sisters' minds, their very spirits boiled. "I'm hungry," sobbed Ramona, but the bag was snatched away, ending yet another cold and miserable day. Then came the pizza incident, a Friday night of dread, when Jumana bought a Domino's but sent the girls to bed. "You haven't cleaned the skirting boards. You haven't swept the hall." She screamed at them until they felt exceptionally small. Alex heard the shouting, and he walked into the room. His face was like a lightning bolt amidst the gathering gloom. "Enough," he cried, his voice a roar that shook the very floor. "I won't let you mistreat my girls a single second more." "Go to your room," Jumana hissed, her eyes like chips of glass. "And don't you dare come out until this temper tantrum's past." The girls were shoved upstairs into their triple bunk bed cell, in a house that had become a cold and agonizing hell. They huddled on the bottom bunk, beneath the dusty sheet, while hearing Beauty laughing as she started in to eat. Anger. That's it. The fuse is lit. I'm blowing up the works, as fear began to tremble at the danger that still lurks. A trip to Foxton Locks was planned, but joy was strictly banned. The girls were denied pond dipping across the grassy land. Stay by the car. Beauty smirked, her nose stuck in the air. While Mum and I enjoy the snacks, not that you would care. Ramona watched the water lilies swaying in the breeze, while longing for the freedom of the Bromley Parkland trees. Disgust. Look at that greasy sandwich she's eating in our face. This family, sighed Sadness, is a sorrowful disgrace. At Pontine's in Prestatyn, the holiday was grim, with lumpy mash and carrots that were floating on the rim. Do your homework. Jumana barked, her poshness now a shield, as she forced the girls to study till their tired senses reeled. The wallpaper was damp and cracked. The beds were hard as stone. The sisters felt entirely and utterly alone. I want my mum, Robin cried, as rain lashed at the pane, while Sadness took the console and began to pour like rain. But Alex had been watching, and he'd made a secret call to the people who could help them and could end it once for all. He confronted cold Jumana in the middle of the night. The sibilance of their whispering was full of fire and spite. I know about the money. I know about the van. He'd finally discovered her precarious, wicked plan. You've neglected my 2 daughters. You've treated them like dirt. The truth was out in the open, and it was going to hurt. The blue lights of the police arrived, a flickering bright display, to take the cruel Jumana and her daughter far away. It's a scam, the officer declared as handcuffs clinked in place, while Beauty had a look of pure and petulant disgrace. Social services were there to check on Robin and her sister, and as for the rotten stepsister, they knew they wouldn't miss her. Joy. Is it over? Can we breathe? Is the nightmare finally done? Fear. The sirens are so loud, but I think that we have won. A divorce was signed and settled, and the clouds began to part, as a brand new kind of lady entered Alex's lonely heart. Sandra was her name, with eyes of dark and velvet brown. She was the kindest person in the whole of London town. I'll help you heal, she promised, with a voice as soft as silk, bringing cookies for the sisters and a glass of creamy milk. Joy. I like her. Look at that. A memory turning pink. She's lovely, whispered Sadness. Much better than you think. They moved to Hamlet Road, a Victorian house of light, where the 5-bedroomed rooms were painted warm and bright. Near Crystal Palace Parkland, where the dinosaurs still stand, the sisters felt like queens across a rejuvenated land. Robin went to Harris City, dancing ballet every day, while Ramona played her hockey in a fierce and focused way. At Harris Primary, she was the star of every game, and everyone in Bromley knew the Roberts sisters' name. Now baby Dixie's joined them, in a onesie bright and yellow, a tiny happy person who is bouncy, sweet, and mellow. They visit Beckenham SPA to swim and splash about, living lives of happiness without a single doubt. Joy stands at the console, with her hands upon the wheel. This, she told the others, is how life is meant to feel. From the darkness of Peterborough to the Crystal Palace sun, the Roberts sisters' best time ever has only just begun.